Guys, I am going to start this session now. And once more, thank you for joining. So when I talk about HCM, let's first understand what is HCM and then how we can relate it with Workday and how this product is doing at the moment in the market. What is the, outreach? How good is this? What are the career prospects, right? So we will discuss all about this now. So when we talk about HCM, HCM basically means human capital management. Now, when we say human capital management, it is all, managing people in any organization, right? And for any organization, people are the backbone. If you don't have people, then, you would not be able to do any work. Although there is a lot of automation these days, but a work which is done by, a person or human, that cannot be replaced by any machine, right? So HCM is really a very important aspect for all the organization. It talks about the complete employee life cycle. So from hire to retire, hire to fire, or hire to exit, whatever you can say. So it takes care of all the aspects of it. Now, when I say all the aspects, what does that mean? It starts from when we, talk about getting into an organization. Let's say I'm a fresher, or, I have just come out of a college and I've started looking for some jobs. And I feel that, okay, I see a job opening. I went through some career portals and I saw that there is a relevant opportunity. Maybe they're looking for internship or they're looking for somebody who can do it. And I feel that I can go ahead and start working. So I will apply for that job, right? So from that place, when you start applying for a job, till you get a job and you stay in the organization, and then you move out, whatever the time, you retire from there, you exit from there, you're fired from there, all the aspects are taken care by a system, which is called a HCM system. And that's the place where we manage all the peripherals, right? So how do we do that? So we have multiple options available in the market. We have on-premise system. Now we have applications which are based 100% on cloud. So all those things are available. And what specifically we are going to learn is all about the day-to-day operations that we do in a HCM, right? So HCM has multiple modules. HCM starts from core HCM, which is your core HR services. Then it comes to time tracking, how you mark your attendance, how do you show your day, that what you have done in a particular day. Then there is time and absence or leave and absence. How do you mark the leaves? What kind of leaves are given? And, how exactly it is going to be implemented, because every organizations have different policies, right? And every organization will give you as per their policy. Some company gives you annual leaves, casual leaves, sick leaves, maternity, paternity, and it all depends upon the local labor laws. Every country has a specific law which every organization who is operating there has to follow, and they have to follow it in a way that there is no discrimination. How that can be done? It is done through an application, which is a part of HCM. So that is about your leave management. Then if you talk about, the next part of it, you have performance management. So you stay in an organization for, let's say, quarter or half year. And generally, a performance review is done for all the employees, that how you have been able to deliver, how was your performance overall in last 3 months, 6 months, year. And we all have an appraisal after 1 year, right? So all those things are taken care through your performance management. Then we have several other modules like benefits. Benefits is basically, again, as per the laws applicable in any country, you have to have a minimum benefits, and some company gives you extra benefits as well. So if I talk about US, so you have 401k benefits. If I talk about India, you have health insurances for yourself and your dependents. Then you have provident fund, right? And there are different benefits that is given to each employee. Then you have payroll, how exactly your salary would be calculated, what would be the day when your salary you are going to get into your account, and how that is prepared. Then there is a recruitment module. The recruitment module is all about hiring people, how the job profiles are prepared, how the job profiles are linked with job requisitions. Now when job requisitions come into picture, how exactly job requisitions are linked and posted on a job portal, and how people can apply, right? So all these aspects actually makes a complete HCM. Now, as I spoke, there are multiple modules, as I stated. Starts with recruitment, core HCM, time tracking, leave in absence. There is one more, which is learning management. So after your performance appraisal or your evaluation, if you are interested in some training, or if you need some training, how that can be given to you, right? Then there is benefits, payroll, advanced compensation, right? All these things actually make the complete HCM. We all go through this life cycle, but actually we don't know that, we become a part of a system and we follow each and everything, but we don't know how that is actually taken care from the backend side, how these systems are developed, right? So these systems are developed with the help of applications like Workday. So there are multiple applications. You may have heard about SAP, PeopleSoft, Oracle Fusion, right? You may have heard about, you can say, ADP Vantage, right? And there are multiple HCM systems, like Zoho is also now growing in this area. So these are all parts of an ERP system, which helps you to specifically take care of different modules. Now, Workday is an advanced version of PeopleSoft, I can say. I don't know if you have heard about PeopleSoft, but PeopleSoft was one of the best HCM tool in the market. It is still, but the challenge is it is an on-premise system. Now, on-premise system means you need a particular dedicated server to install it and to use it, and you have to do a lot of maintenance. And now the technology has evolved. Everyone is going towards cloud computing, right? Almost in the next 10 years, everything will be on cloud. You will rarely see anything which is on-premise. So Workday plays an important role here because it is the same people who developed PeopleSoft. They moved out of PeopleSoft or from Oracle because Oracle bought it, and they knew the failures or the limitations of that particular product, and they built their own product called Workday. And this particular tool is 100% on cloud. That's the best advantage, I would say, with this particular tool. Okay, so I'm not sure if you know about cloud computing. I'll give you a brief overview of that as well. But this is the latest technology which is being used in the market right now, and every organization is trying to move towards cloud. The one reason why everyone is trying to move towards cloud is it is basically a subscription-based model. It is pay per use. If you want to use that application, you have to only pay then. It is not that you have to go ahead and buy something. You are basically renting out. And if I don't need the application, I can stop it. So you don't have to pay anything extra. And this is paid per user, which means if you need only that system for 5 users, you can only pay for 5 users. You don't need to buy the complete application. You don't have to purchase that. And that makes it interesting. That makes it cheaper than all the other systems which is on-premise. And it is very secure. That's the best part about it. People are afraid that if I'm going on to cloud, my data may not be secure, but this is the most secure platform. And in the moment, at the moment, which is there in the market, because this has never been breached up till now. And they keep on, organizing hackathons and everything just to make sure that their security is being tested on a regular basis, so that if there is any vulnerability, they can fix it. And that's one of the big reasons why this is growing in the market. Another reason which I can think of is every other application requires a developer background. If you want to become a consultant, you want to become a developer, you need to have a developer background. But for Workday development, a developer background is not required. Why? 90% of the work that we do in Workday is all about configuration. Basically, how the things would be done, it is through configuration, right? And 10% of the work is done through development or coding, that is on the integration side, that is pure technical. So someone who has a domain knowledge or who has an interest can easily move on to Workday. The only limitation what I feel in Workday is nothing is available on Google, nothing is available on YouTube. You would not find those resources. Now, why is that? Because Workday wants to keep its product confined to its community. They don't want to make it open. So right now, Workday is not available openly. And you cannot get any certification from any of the authorized part. Only Workday can certify you. There is no other authority in the world who can actually certify you that you are a Workday certified consultant. So this is also an important part for everyone to know. And the reason why I'm saying that it is growing in the market, because every organization prefer that they have a system which is easy to use, user-friendly, and you don't have to be dependent that, if I don't, I have to be dependent on developers to make the code changes. And then if they don't make the code changes, then, it will take some time. It follows the same software development lifecycle, SDLC, if you have heard about, but in a quite different manner, right? So 90% of the work that is done in Workday is configuration. 10% of the work that is done in Workday is through coding, and that is on the integration side. So this is about Workday. Also, I want to specify that, what is the reason for the growth? If you talk about the Fortune 1000 organizations, 70% of them actually have chosen Workday as their HCM tool. And it is not only one part of the globe, it is all across the globe. So in US, I would say a lot of organizations have already moved on to Workday. And the same organizations which has branch offices in different countries, whether it is in EMEA, APAC, maybe, UK, or the complete European Union, or Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, India, right? They are trying to upgrade themselves. And there is a huge opportunity of growth at the moment in all the geographies. And that's the reason this product is in demand, because it is growing exponentially. So this is about the market aspect. Now, I am trying to understand what exactly are we going to look into this course? Because as I stated, there are multiple modules within Workday, right? So this course is basically a techno-functional course. Now, why we call it as a techno-functional course? Let me share my screen and walk you through the course content, because that will give you a better idea. Let me know once you're able to see my screen, guys. Are you able to see my screen? All right, that's wonderful. Thank you. Okay, so I was saying that this course is a techno-functional course. Now, why I say this is a techno-functional course? Because here we are going to cover the most important module in Workday, which is the core HCM part. And then we are going to cover reports and then the integrations. And that's the reason we say this as a techno-functional course. Okay. As I stated, there are 7 to 8 modules, which is part of HCM. Out of that 7 to 8 modules, one module, which is called the core HCM, is the most important one. Now, why I'm saying that that is the most important one? Because if we don't know the core HCM, we would not be able to get into any other modules, because the data flows from core HCM to all the other modules. Now, what core HCM consists of, I will talk in that in detail, and then I will relate it with the different modules that you have, right? So let's talk about this course, the functional part that I'll talk about right now, and then we will try to get into the other important aspect. So here we see core concepts and navigation basics. So this course has in total 11 chapters, guys. And the first chapter talks about different core concepts and how do you navigate into the tool, right? So it will have an overview. We will talk about different modules. Then what is cloud computing? How the data is stored in Workday. As we all know, that Workday does not give any way to query the data. I think I have not spoken about it, right? So in Workday, we cannot write any code for extracting data. We cannot write any code for, you can say to update something or to make the changes on the UI. Basically, we can only write the code for integrations. And that also Workday says that you only use code only in the complex scenarios where it is not possible through out-of-box functionality, or you cannot do it through configuration, right? So we will start with this and overview core concepts, business objects, worklets, basic and additional navigation. Now, when I talk about business object, it is basically a table within a database. This is an application. So an application will have a backend, front end, and a middleware, right? But we don't know what that is because that is hidden from us. But still it has given a way that how you can look into the data, how you can extract the data, and how you can find it through business objects. So we'll get into detail, then I will explain you in more, we will do a deep dive and you will be able to understand it in better. And then after that, we will talk about organizations. Now, when I say HCM can only be set up if you have a company, if you have an organization, right? So here we will try to understand that if I have to use a HCM system, what are the components I'm going to need? I would need some type of organization. In Workday, there are multiple type of organizations, and then we have 3, which is very important, which we are going to cover in core HCM, which is called as predefined organizations, custom organizations, and then supervisory. So predefined organizations are those which is already there in Workday, but we will use that to define our location, company, cost center, region, their hierarchies. Now, let's imagine if you have to set up a business or if you have to start an organization, what is the first thing you would need? Apart from the capital, apart from the idea, let's talk in the perspective of HCM. So what would you need? Anybody? Guys? Just think, maybe you will get that. It's not very difficult. No? No idea? Anybody? Akansha? No? So guys, you would need an address, you need a location, right? If you have to register your company, that's the first thing that you would need is a location. That, okay, this is my location where I have to start my business. And I need that either on my name or at least leased on my name, so that I can go ahead and register a company, and then I will get a tax number. Once you get a tax number, then only you can start your operations. Without that, it is not possible, because every organization has to be legally compliant, right? So for that, we set up the location, then we register the company. Then what we do, we set up different departments. Every department will have some or the other cost center associated with that. And then let's imagine your company has expanded. It has moved into different geographies. Then you would need different regions, right? So all these we are going to learn and we are going to configure it. So we'll start from the basics. We'll start from the predefined organization, then we'll move into custom and then supervisory. Now, within HCM, 90% of the work that we do, it revolves around supervisory organization. Supervisory organization is a combination of different things, guys. So supervisory organization is a combination of predefined organization plus the custom organization. So that's the reason everything comes under supervisory. Supervisory organizations are nothing but just like a department, right? So if you have a HR department, now within HR department, you may have sub-departments. Someone will be from recruitment, someone will be from line HR, someone will be from benefits department, someone would be taking care of compensation, someone would be actually doing the recruitment, right? So all these departments are actually part of HR, but they're all a separate departments as well, right? So how do we manage it? This is just one vertical. You may have major verticals like sales and marketing. If you're a technology company, you will have different technologies, right? So all these things are part of different organizations, and we will set it up. We will look into it. We will have the hierarchies. We will have a manager assigned to every supervisory organization, because the manager is also a supervisor. So all that things are very important, and that is what we are going to learn in this. And the model of this training, guys, how exactly we are going to do is everything will be hands-on. Whatever we are looking on this system, the topics, everything will be covered and it will be recorded. I will show it to you on the system so that you will have to practice. So the only method to learn Workday is to practice, because it's a task-driven tool. Task-driven tool means if I have to perform an activity, I cannot use mouse and points and click. No, I have to type in my task. Let's say if I have to create a supervisory organization, I'll have to type the task name, create supervisory organization. Then only I'll be able to perform it. And if you don't know that task, you will not be able to do it, because there is no point and click method. Point and click method is only for your people, those who are end users in the sense, those who are using Workday. So when we design this application, we design it for users, like an employee, right? Why will that employee use that Workday? Maybe to mark the attendance, to look at the salary slips, maybe to apply leaves. They can use it. But if a Workday consultant is using that application to configure, they will not use mouse and click, very rarely. It's not very useful as well. But we have to only stick to the tasks, and you will become perfect only if you practice. So that is the key. And everything, as I stated, will be recorded, and you will have a recorded session for the lifetime with you. And after every chapter, there will be assignments. So this is about the organizations. Then we'll go to the next chapter, which is basically talking about the staffing model. So every department has some kind of staffing model. So Workday has two. You have job management and position management. So which department needs which type of staffing? That depends upon their usage. So when we use position management, we actually create a position first and then we hire. But if we use job management, you don't need a position. You can keep on hiring till the time that job, the position, I'm so sorry, the job profile is active and there is no hiring freeze, right? So these are the things that we are going to learn. This is a small chapter, but very important because it's conceptual. And you will have most of the questions, majority of the questions from this chapter in your interview. Then comes jobs and positions, guys. This is a chapter which is a base chapter for learning recruitment. Because in this, we are going to configure job profiles. We are going to link it with job requisitions. We are going to understand how exactly that job requisitions are linked with positions or with job management. And then how exactly do we fill them? How do we actually hire? So that is what we are going to learn in jobs and positions. But in this chapter, we are sticking with job profiles and compensation grades. Compensation is the next chapter. We will talk about that in detail. And then how a job profile, a job family, and a job family groups are interrelated. How do we create positions, and then how do we link it, right? So this is the important aspect. So if anybody wants to go into a recruitment side of Workday, they should know these things. And that's the reason I said that if you don't know the core HCM, because these are all part of core HCM, it will not be able to move towards the advanced modules which are there. And those are all functional modules again. Okay, so I'll move on to the fifth one, which is compensation, guys. Now, compensation is all about your salary. So everyone works in an organization or do any job to earn money, right? So compensation is a very important aspect for every organization. So if I have the organization and I'm working in it, of course, I would be needing some salary, right? So how do we do that? So there are four major parts in that. We will talk about eligibility rule. We will talk about compensation grade and grade profile. What is the difference? How do we set up allowance plan? And finally, how do we create a package, right? Now, this is core compensation. There is a particular module called as advanced compensation. Now, that is only applied on organizations which uses the advanced compensation features like stock options. You have, a company who gives you stocks, right? Like Google, Facebook, Amazon, maybe any public sector company who wants to give this shares to their employee. In that case, you need to know advanced compensation as well. And some provide you retirement benefits, some provide you, future plans, commission plans, right? So all those are part of advanced compensation. But this section, compensation, is applied everywhere, right? And again, this is a base model or base chapter to learn the advanced compensation. Then the next chapters which I'm going to talk about, which is security and business process. Now, these chapters will be common across the modules. So security will always be there in all the modules, and we have to follow it very diligently because you're talking about HCM systems, right? If there is a small mistake also, it can cause a lot of escalations. Imagine you and your colleague, you both have the same experience, but your salary and your colleague's salary might be different. So it cannot be visible. Those data can either will be seen by you or your manager or the HR, but it cannot be seen by any other person in the organization, right? So how do you manage it? Which fields I have to show it to you? Which fields I have to show it to your manager? Which fields I have to make it editable? Which fields I have to make sure that, it is not editable? Because just imagine if your compensation table or compensation field where you are getting your salary, if that becomes editable, will not every employee change the salary figures by themselves, right? So we have to be very sure what security measures are we giving. So there are two types of security in Workday, guys. There is one called data security and another is called as action security. Now, when I say data security, it talks about how do you manage the fields, the visibility, the modification of it, who can edit, who can view, who can delete, who can make the changes, right? So that is the part of security. Then comes action security. Action security means what kind of activity I can do. So for example, I am an employee of the organization, but I don't have access to the attendance part. If I am not able to mark my attendance, then it is going to be difficult. I will not be able to put my attendance, and then one final day, I may have problems because my salary would not be credited at that time or the right time if I'm not able to mark my attendance. Imagine if you're not able to apply for leaves, right? So you should have access to those parts as well. And how do we give this access? We give that access through workflows. So workflows in Workdays are called as business process. Okay. So that part of security is monitored by a process or a policy called as business process security policy. We'll talk in that in detail, but I'm just trying to give you an overview at the moment. And then the next chapter, which is the last chapter of core HCM, is basically defining a business process. So business process, as I stated, is a workflow. So how do we set up a workflow? What are the steps that we can put in, right? I give you an example that if I have to apply for leaves, I should have access to that application, right? So imagine if I have to hire somebody. So what are the steps that would be involved? So imagine a person has applied for a job, the resume comes into the recruiter, it goes through review phase, then it goes into screening, then assessment, then interview, right? And then finally someone clears the interview. And then what happens? It goes for a final approval to the hiring manager. So till the time your approval does not come, you are not hired, right? So till this job application, till the interview ends, and then there is a final negotiation, that only comes through the recruitment module. So this particular part is all about recruitment. Then after your recruitment, basically you accept the offer letter. Once you accept the offer letter and you come on the day of joining, from that day your HCM core HCM starts, because you will be onboarded. All your systems, the data will be in the system, your ID cards, everything will be issued to you. You will be getting a workstation, all these things. And then all the other parts, as I stated, whether you have to mark the attendance, how you have to mark the attendance, because there are different organizations, they use different ways. Some use timesheets, some uses, options like biometric, like fingerprint or retina scan, right? Some use attendance card, like punch in, punch out, right? So those things are decided by the organization, but everything has to be controlled by Workday, because if you have implemented that module in Workday, so you have to get that implemented and then it will be managed by it. How that will be done, that you will be learning in your time tracking application, time tracking module, right? So that's the reason everything is important, because everything has a workflow, everything has a particular setup. And how do you do that setup? We are going to learn in this particular chapter. So once this completes, the 7th chapter, you will be ready to create your own hiring process, create your any other process. You just need to know that how exactly that needs to be done. And my job is to give you the concepts. Okay, so this completes your functional part of the core HCM, guys. Now, as I stated, you see these chapters. If you don't apply for a job and if you're not selected, then none of the other modules you would be able to use. You'll not be able to mark your attendance. You will not be able to apply for the leaves. There will be no performance measure. There will not be any learning and development for you. There will be no benefits. There will be no you can say salary generating from the account, right? So there will be no stock options or anything that company is going to give it to you. So all these modules are interrelated. And if you have to go into any other module, you want to become a specialist, in that case, you need to know this particular part first, because the data moves from this place. If you are hired, then only all the other modules will come into picture, right? So this is the most important module, and everybody is expected to know core HCM functionally. Because if you don't know the core HCM functionally, you would not even be able to write the code when you want to do the integration, guys. So that is also important. Okay. So this completes our functional part. Then we'll go into the technical part. Now from there, we will try to understand what are the things that comes into technical. So any kind of report that you create, that starts from the technical part. So reporting, how do we do it? We know that we don't have an option to write any SQL queries. So we will again do it with the help of configuration only. So there is a report builder and a report writer. We will use that option of Workday and we will try to pull in the records that we want on the basis of some criteria, right? So there are different type of reports that is there in Workday, guys. We are going to go through 3 of them. So we will go through simple reports, advanced report, and then we have another very important one, which is called as advanced report with web services. Okay, so that is all we are going to learn in this chapter. Then we will move on to calculated fields. Now, why this chapter is also important? Because it gives you different functions. If you have used Excel, Microsoft Excel, right? So in that you would have seen, you can apply formulas, you can apply logical statements, you can put conditional statements, right? So in Workday also, you can use these options and you can use calculated fields for writing a formula, for putting a true false statements. You want to put some conditional statements, you want to put some criteria, you can do that. There is no problem in that, right? So this becomes really important. And this is what we are going to learn in the technical part. And these things will be common across the module, guys. Again, I'm saying why I'm saying across the modules, because this is something which you would need every time. Okay. Then what do we have? We will go into integrations. So there are 6 types of integrations within Workday, and we are going to cover 3. And these integrations are valid across all the modules again. So we have EIB, which is also called as Enterprise Interface Builder. These integrations will help you to send and receive data. So if you want to send the data outside of Workday to a third party, then you can do that. If you want to receive data from a third party and you want to insert it into Workday, you can do it with the help of EIB. All right, so then we have core connectors. Now, these integrations are also very important. In fact, this is the most important integration. Here, we are going to use some templates. Now, when I say here we are going to use some template, we also call it as template-based connectors. So when I say template-based connectors, it means that, you know, we have certain inbuilt templates given by Workday, and with the help of those templates, we will be able to extract the data and send it to a third party using the core connector. Here, little bit of code is required because the output of this core connector comes in an XML format. Now, suppose if your vendor is old vendor, their systems does not understand the data in XML format, then in those cases, we will have to write code to do this transformation. So they say that, no, I need the data in CSV or Excel or maybe, you know, PDF. Then we will have to write the code to convert that into that format. And Workday provides the criteria that you can do it. But XML is a global format, guys. You would never be asked to change the format of XML into different one. It's very rare because all the vendors nowadays are using this. There is no other option. Okay. So this is how exactly it works. Core connectors. Okay. And this is the end of our course. The next 3 integrations which I was talking about is Workday Studio. Then you have REST API integrations, SOAP API integrations. That is completely coding. That's the reason we say that we don't cover it, because it requires a development background and someone who is interested. You know, that course itself is a 3 to 4 weeks of course, because it will be started from scratch. You need to know reports also. You need to know, you know, how do you use the XML, XSLT, and a little bit of Java is required. So there are prerequisites for that. And that's the reason we don't cover this. And as I stated, so that is used in a very rare scenarios. And if I have to talk about the integration, if I draw a pie chart, So in your day-to-day activity, 25% of the integrations are done through EIB, and then 60 to 65% are done through core connector. So that makes it like 85 to 90%. The rest 10% of the integrations, which will be very complex, for those only you would need the coding. And those are done by very specific technical consultants who knows development. So with this course, once you complete it, you will become a Workday core HCM techno-functional consultant who knows functional module of core HCM, who knows how to create reports, and then who knows how to create EIBs and core connector. So these chapters will help you become a Workday techno-functional consultant. So there are different paths in Workday also. You can become a functional consultant, you can become a pure technical consultant, you can become a techno-functional consultant, and then you can become a tester, or you can become a business analyst, or you can become a project manager, depends on your area of choice, right? But this particular course is very much focused on your techno-functional area, because that is what is required by all the organization these days, that you should know at least one functional module. You should know how the reports are written, and then you should also know how exactly the integrations are done. Okay, so with this, I would conclude my discussion, and I'll leave this floor open for any of your questions which you have. I'll be happy to take those questions and answer that for you. As there is almost nothing available to understand about Workday or trainings, can you please help me understand how the training can help to build a career for data analyst reporting professional? So Sunil, as you are from data analyst background, okay, see, I'll be honest, with this particular course, you can learn reporting. Okay, but for that also you have to go through the core HCM first of all. Okay, there is an advanced module for reporting analytics. Okay, there is a specific module called Prism. Prism is basically an analytics platform of Workday where you can easily use AI and ML, and all the data analysts prefer, after learning this, they go into Prism because that's the area of their interest. Anybody is from any other background will choose an area of their interest, right? And as your area is this, you may go for this. You may go for the analytics platform, which is Prism. And that is definitely going to help you in your career. Okay. But again, core HCM, reports, integrations, these are required. These are something which you will always need to get into any of the quick jobs. If you're looking to switch, this can help you in doing that. Okay, I think there is something else. No, I don't have any questions on the chat as well, guys. So if you don't have any questions, okay. Jeff is saying my goal is to do Workday financials. Do I have to do HCM? No. Workday finance is completely, entirely different from HCM. So guys, it follows the same thing. As I stated, Workday is also an ERP, and it is, just an enhanced version of PeopleSoft. So PeopleSoft has three main, categories, I would say, or you can say define the three areas. You have Workday, PeopleSoft HCM, PeopleSoft Finance, and PeopleSoft Campus Solutions. Similarly, Workday has HCM, Workday has Finance, and Workday has Student module. So these three modules are entirely different. Right now, we are only talking about HCM. HCM is only about human capital management, employees life cycle from hire to retire, right? And there is no finance involved in that. So if you are looking for finance, you may have to go for a different, training altogether. That is nowhere related to HCM. No, I never said that we would do that, right? I never said that. I said, if you want to do it, you will have to go through an advanced integration course.
Okay.
So that part is required. If you have worked on Excel, then that is enough for you.
Fair. Fair. So, I mean, that would be enough, you are saying.
Yes. If you know Excel properly, that would be enough for you to learn the integration part of.
Yeah.
Yeah, but little bit of knowledge would be, yeah, little bit of knowledge would be required when you try to connect different applications. See, if you are learning integrations, which means you're trying to connect Workday with other systems. For example, I have to send data to a FTP server. FTP is a file transfer protocol, right? So I don't need to know the details of it, but I need to know the address that, okay, if I have to send the data from A to B, I am A, then how will it go to B? You need the address for B, right? How do you get that address? You will get it from the vendor. There is a place you have to mention that. That is what you need to know. So it is not very technical. Yeah. So this is what see, it would take approximately 3 to 4 weeks, and it may extend based on if you have a lot of questions, a lot of doubts, then it will extend. If it does not, then it will be finished within a 4 weeks of time. Ideally, it takes approximately 30 hours. Yeah, 30 hours. But that is including your practice time. I will take an hour of session daily, Monday to Friday. But if you don't practice it, then the course will be over very soon, right? Because if you don't ask questions, I will keep on